Okay, good morning everybody. Today we're going to go over our DSR report on who is primarily responsible for the DSR. We're going to learn how to use the rooming utility, the move-ins, the move-outs, and the transfers. Um, we're going to go over how to change the dates for the move-ins and move-out lists, and update the OOC section, the at-risk section, and then we're going to save the Q&A till the end here. First, I want to introduce you to a new flow chart here, representing the responsibility of the CRC moving forward. Moving forward, the CRC will be responsible for the daily sales marketing report. I won't go through the entire section here, but as you can see, each of these little bubbles represent a section of the DSR, the census, the move-ins and move-outs, the transfers, the move-ins, the notices, the at-risk, the inquiries, lead activities and hot leads, and lastly the marketing comment section. It's important to update the rooming utilities within a 24-hour period. I get that move-ins occur sometimes in the evening, towards the evening, 4, maybe 5 or 6. It gets a long night, and if you would process the rooming utility the very next morning, that should be just fine as well. Within a reasonable amount of time is just perfect. And by next morning, which would be just fine. So we're going to move out of the flow sheet here. I've given everybody a copy of the flow sheet, and also by clicking on those little bubbles here, you can actually see samples of the actual sections of the DSR in case you wanted to see it. Okay. Moving over to the ALF software solution here, this is your home page. And all the CRCs now have access to what's called the Resident Account Management System. You used to just have only the lead tracking system. Now you have what's called a RAM. And in your RAM is where we'll process the rooming utilities for a new move-in or move-out or a transfer. So we'll first process a move-in. So let's take a look at a new resident here. So let's first take a look at the room list for our test community here. Okay, in our test community we have these are our current residents here, and what's available is room. Let's pick room 303 as a new resident to move in. Okay, so let's head back into your action. This is where the rooming utility is going to be located. Head into rooming utility, pick the right community, and we're going to find the resident that that we're going to be moving in. So let's pick a resident here. Let's see, is Taylor Swift moved in? Taylor Swift has not moved in here, so let's pick Taylor Swift. It's for a move-in and a move-out transaction. It's a one process deal here. So we're going to do process number 1, and here's Taylor Swift. And we're going to copy the current data, so the first 2 lines will auto-populate. And the rooming activity that you'll use is a move-in activity. And the date that you're going to use is, we'll just pick 4/15/2017. In the move-out section, you can leave blank because this is a move-in process here. So let's see, 415. The room that we're going to be choosing is 303. Okay. Okay. So room 303, and okay, everything looks good. Change, and I always like using the room submit rooming transaction and go directly into the ledger, so that way you can see the transaction occur. Okay, so we're going to go back into rooming reports, and we're going to head into the rooming list here. Pick the community. I'm going to sort by apartment number. I'm going to head down to room 303, and here is Taylor Swift right here in room 303. Okay, so let me generate here. Steve. Okay. And give me 1 second to grab the DSR, show you the move-in. Okay, so here's an updated generated move-in DSR. So on this DSR, Taylor Swift does not show up on the move-in list here. Okay, why not? Let's figure out why. Okay, so we're going to head back into the rooming list here, resident room list. Okay, and the reason why Taylor is not showing up on the resident the move-in list is because these two dates right here, what's called move-in date and an activity date, these two dates has to be identical in order for Taylor to be on the move-in list here. Okay, so how do we go about and making sure that this date matches the move-in date here? Okay, so we're going to head into your resident information, and you're going to find Taylor, and this date right here, your first occupancy date, that needs to match your move-in date. So we're going to find, let's see, the right date. Pick 4/15. We're going to make the changes, save it. 4/15 Taylor. I'm going to go back into the rooming reports, room list, test, and rooms. Oh, let's sort by room number. Room number. Here's Taylor. Here's the dates. Here's the dates. Matches. Okay. Let's run our DSR report. Okay, let's take a look at our DSR report now. Okay, so now on our DSR report, as you can see, Taylor in room 303 is moved in on 4/15. Now this person, Taylor, is showing on your DSR report, and that is the #1 reason why someone isn't showing on your move-in list here. Okay, so again, those two dates, they has to match. The move-in date and then the first activity date has to match these two dates in order for them to be on the move-in list. Okay. Move-out process. Move-out process is just as simple and same. Let's take a look at Mr. Bob Dunn here in room 133. We're going to go ahead and move this person out. Actually, you know what? Let's take a look at July Jack in room 200C. Okay, we're going to move this person out. So we're going to head back in the actions, rooming utility, go into the test community. Let's see, July Jack, where are you? There you are. Okay, one-step process. It's just a move out. We're going to process that and click the autofill 200C. It's going to be a move out process. The move in date, you can always use the original date that this person moved in. So you can copy 7/1 and 7/1. Okay, and the out date is going to be, let's just pick 4/15/2017. The reason, higher health needs. Save the changes, and we're going to submit the rooming transaction. Okay, and go back into your rooming reports, your room list, test, sort by apartment number, and so room 200C. Okay, no longer there. And this was a previous DSR before we processed, and so as you can see, that person is not on this list here. Let's go ahead and process a new DSR. Okay, here it comes. Okay. Okay. So Mr. July here is now showing as a move out on 4/15 on room 200C. Okay? Very simple. One step, one process move out using the rooming utility. Okay. And the third most used transaction is, well, actually, let's go back to the rooming list here and sort by resident name. Let's transfer Mr. John Elway. Let's move John Elway from 131 into a vacant unit 264. So we're going to move John from 131 to 264. I'm going to head back into Actions, Utility, Community. We're going to find John. All right, John. Maybe it was a bad example here. Let's go find someone. Let's find someone else. Okay. Chris Kamen, 315. Chris Kamen. Okay. Actions, utility, test, Kamen. Chris, here we go. In a transfer, transfers are going to be a two-step process, because the first process is going to be a transfer out. We're going to copy the first two lines here from 315, where he's currently at. It's going to be a transfer out. You always stop by a transfer out. The end date, again, you can use the original, the first occupancy date. And the out date, let's use 4/15 again. Okay, 3/15 is where he's currently at. Transfer out, original date of move in, and the transfer date. Save changes. Process number 2. Populate the first two lines. This time we're going to be transferring him into room 264. The rooming activity is going to be a transfer in, and we're going to use the same date as the transfer out. And I'll tell you the reason why here in a little bit. So it's a two-step process. Transfer rooming. Submit the process. Head into rooming. Go into your room list. Double check your work. And in room 264, here's 264, okay, and he was in room 315, and so here's 315, and there's no 315 here, okay, and the reason why you use the same date is because sometimes you might have a split month where someone might transfer out on the 30th and then transfer in on May 1st. We get that for accounting purposes because you don't want to double charge them for the same room, for two different rooms. But for this, but for sole purposes for the DSR, we're going to use the same date, so that way it'll land on that specific month. Okay. So we're going to check the DSR now. Okay. All right. So on the transfer, we have Chris came in, transfers out on 4/15, transfers in from 3/15, and transferring into room 264. Okay, very simple. Two-step process for transfers, one-step process for move-ins, and one-step process for move-outs. Okay. Now let's take a look at your out of community and at risk. How do we go about changing those? You head into your resident information. We're going to go into the community, and let's find Mr. Sylvester the cat here. Okay. So in this section here, your resident information, find the resident, and the sections bolded in red, if you will, are the two sections where you're going to identify if they're out of the community or at risk. The two different drop downs will have two different groups of options as a status reason. The at risk will have out of the, a higher level of care in the hospice section. Out of the community will have home, nursing home, hospital, and emergencies section. Okay. So once the changes have been made, you click Save, and your DSR report will adjust to the new settings. To take somebody off the at-risk out of the community, you simply hit No, Save Changes, and Sylvester the cat was from the previous DSR. We're going to run the DSR again. So out of the community, and Sylvester the cat is no longer in this section because we hit No. Okay, and that's it. Again, that's in the resident information, and then the status and status reason, bolded in red. Okay. Okay. The last thing is, how do you adjust the red dates here, which require immediate attention here? Okay, so these dates have passed now. Well, let's take a look at Meg Gronkowski. So where you're going to go to adjust those dates is you're going to head into Reports, Resident Reports, and you're going to head into Current Move-In Deposits Notice. Oop. Okay, we're going to hit Test Community. So for Meg, its current date, it's set at 1/6/2017. So let's give that a future date of May 15. Okay. Always want to update once you're done. You can also delete somebody if you like. So Mr. Sam Plead here. Let's delete Mr. Sam Plead. Oh, gotta give a reason. Can't afford. Delete. Okay, Sam Plead is gone. So we adjusted two things. Let's take a look at our DSR now. Okay, so Meg, we adjusted her move-in date to 5/15, and Sam is no longer here because we removed him off the list. Okay, and that's the same process, the same place where you go to adjust and move-out dates as well. Okay, so for the move-out notices, go to the same place, Reports, Resident Report, and Current Move-Out List. Here's your move-in list, and then here's your move-out list. Okay. Test. So we got Frank here, adjusted dates here, and then update. Very simple. Okay. And let's see here. Your activities, your inquiries, your hot list, hot leads, we won't go over, but one thing to point out in your marketing comment section, the system has been having problems with using bullet characters, the actual functions through a word processor. So please do not use bullet functions off your Word and copying and pasting. It stops the generating the DSRs nightly. You can still copy and paste from your notepad to your Word onto your market summary. Quite simple. It's just you can use asterisks, dashes if you'd like. It's the actual function that the system does not like. So you can actually just go ahead and copy something like this from your Word or your notepad and paste, but you can still use plus signs like this as your bullet points. It's the actual function through the Word that it does not like. Okay, so you can save, and it works just fine, like that here. Okay. One thing as a reminder, the CRCs are now will be fully responsible for the DSR reports, giving back the CRCs this tool 100%. The EDs and the office managers will be acting as a support for the CRCs in case they're absent or not available, or even not existent, if you will. So CRCs will now each evening before 6 o'clock run down, check the reg dates, check their move-ins and move-outs for the day, perform the rooming utilities, who's out of the community or at risk, perform the type of writing your market summaries, check all the sections, hit submit, and then you're done. So now you'll be able to perform everything that's needed that's on the actual DSR report. Okay, so I hope that all makes sense to everybody. If not, please feel free to email me and let me know, and I'd be happy to help you. Thank you very much.